The second round of the NBA playoffs are where things really start to get spicy, and this year the results gave us far spicier outcomes than I think anybody may have predicted. Some of the league's titans got sent home earlier than they were hoping for, quite a few surprising teams are moving on to the conference finals, and with it has come a ton of players notably turning heads both for better and for worse. This brings us to today's video, where we will be going through the 4 biggest winners and the 4 biggest losers from this round of the playoffs based on the expectations they entered their series with, compared to how things actually went for them. Before we start though, I want to thank PrizePicks for sponsoring today's video. PrizePicks is the most fun way to play daily fantasy sports, and you could win up to 100 times your original entry. It's so easy to get involved as well. You just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. While we're all basketball fans here, they do offer pretty much any sport you can think of to choose from and play, so there are so many different ways to play, and the potential combinations are unbelievable. PrizePicks also offers tons of special promos regularly, such as Taco Tuesday and specialty free spaces for big matchups, so you don't want to miss out on the chance to take advantage of those. For this week's entry, I will be going with Bryson DeChambeau in the PGA Championship to record fewer than 70 strokes for his round. To sign up, go down to the link in the description and use code REFERENCE to take advantage of the offer, where all you have to do is play $5 and get $50 added to your account instantly. Once again, thank you to PrizePicks for sponsoring the video. Now let's get back to the topic at hand. Starting with the first big winner of the second round of the playoffs, we have Tyrese Haliburton of the Indiana Pacers. A poll was released before the playoffs where 90 NBA players voted, and Haliburton got the most votes for who they thought was the most overrated player in the league. Well, 2 rounds later, Haliburton and his Pacers squad are still alive, headed to the conference finals for a second year in a row. Haliburton gets a bad rap by opposing fans because they think he's kind of corny, and the fact that he doesn't always put up massive numbers leads many to believe that he's overrated, but his brilliant ability to command an offense, orchestrate a highly efficient group, and come through in clutch moments time and time again is silencing a lot of his doubters, and after eliminating the 1-seed Cleveland Cavaliers comfortably this series, winning in 5 games, it's becoming even harder to write him off. It's definitely unfortunate that the Cavaliers couldn't be at full strength for the series, but they had all of their key guys on the court for both games 4 and 5, and the Pacers still whooped them each game, so the excuses are running out when trying to discredit Haliburton's success. Now over to the first big loser of the second round this year, we have Jayson Tatum of the Boston Celtics. The Celtics are the defending NBA champions after going all the way last season, but despite Tatum being the team's best player, he was unable to take home the Finals MVP trophy, which is always a blight on all-time greats. He wanted nothing else than to go back-to-back this year, cementing his name in the history books as a Finals MVP, but the fact of the matter is that he just wasn't very good at all when his team needed him the most, and when he finally erupted for a huge scoring night in Game 4, he suffered an unfortunate injury that ended his season. In Game 1, he shot a horrific 7 of 23 from the field. In Game 2, he shot an even worse 5 of 19, and in Game 3, he shot a modest 8 of 20. Being the favorite in the series and then going on to shoot your team out of games night after night is a tough look for someone that fans insist on forcing into best player in the world conversations, so it needs to be said that those kind of claims probably need to die off fast, and his outlook needs to be more realistic because getting eliminated by this Knicks team just should not have happened. Now back to the next big winner of the second round, we have Jalen Brunson of the New York Knicks. There was a famous segment on ESPN a while back where they went viral for saying that Jalen Brunson may be good, but he's not good enough to be the leader of an NBA title contender. Well, here we are with Brunson absolutely balling out, arguably looking like the best player in the entire playoffs right now, and he's the biggest reason why the Knicks were able to snap their 25-year conference finals drought. I'm not here to say that Brunson played a perfect series, as Game 2 was looking like a Celtics win the whole way, as Brunson shot poorly most of that night, but in the end, Brunson took over in crunch time, scoring the last 6 points for the Knicks as they pulled off the upset, proving that they're never out of it with Brunson's clutch gene being so prevalent. Throw in his decisive 39-point outing in Game 4 to take command of the series, and we have a potential all-time great in the making who has been written off time and time again, overcoming every obstacle thrown his way. Now back to our next unfortunate loser of the second round, we have Jimmy Butler of the Golden State Warriors. Jimmy Butler demanded a trade out of Miami because he knew there was no chance to compete for a championship there anymore, and since his arrival in Golden State, the Warriors had been one of the hottest teams in the entire league. They looked like a very real threat to go all the way at full strength, despite being just the 7 seed, but those hopes died fast after Steph Curry went down with an injury just 13 minutes into Game 1 of their series against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and now Jimmy's window to potentially win a ring is starting to close fast. In a situation like this, it also wasn't unreasonable to expect God Mode Jimmy to make an appearance after having proven in prior years that he is capable of single-handedly taking games over and putting the team on his back, but at age 35, those days seem to be long gone because for the most part he looked ordinary in this series. He scored fewer than 20 points in both Games 2 and Game 4. He did put up 33 points in Game 3, but it wasn't enough to get the victory, and the rest of the Warriors supporting cast did him no favors either, so now they enter the offseason with some big decisions they're gonna need to make. Now back to our next big winner of the second round, we have Julius Randle of the Minnesota Timberwolves. I continue to be impressed with how Randle has finally found a way to translate his unbelievable talent and skill set into dominant production under the bright lights of playoff basketball. His previous playoff outings during his time with the New York Knicks had been downright embarrassing, and there was good reason to be hesitant when it came to trusting him as a team with lofty aspirations, but his confidence seems to be now at an all-time high. Randle averaged 25 points per game this series, including a very impressive 31-point outing in Game 4 to take control by grabbing a 3-1 series lead, and now the Timberwolves are in a position where winning a championship is a very real possibility if he can keep this up, which I don't think anyone would have thought possible before the playoffs began. Randle is simply too strong, skillful, and productive for his playoff woes to last forever, and now we're finally getting to see him at his best under the bright lights. Now back to our next unfortunate loser of the second round, we have Darius Garland of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Garland is now a 2-time All-Star in his career, and he's floundered in the playoffs pretty much every time he's played any kind of quality competition. Last season against Boston, he went AWOL for most of the series, and this year against Indiana, he shot a combined 7 of 27 from the field in Games 3 and 5, which were some of the more critical games of the series. Yes, he was dealing with a sprained toe, but ultimately, when you are the 1 seed in the East and your co-star Donovan Mitchell was balling out, scoring at a ridiculous rate every night, the loss is going to put on those that struggled, and Garland definitely struggled. The Cavs' success desperately needed Garland's creativity and playmaking production at its best to contend, and they didn't really get any of it this series, which now sends them back to square one, asking themselves what they could possibly need more of to legitimately contend with this core. And now, the final big winner of the second round that we will be discussing today is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Nuggets vs. Thunder series immediately became a battle for who could be called the rightful MVP in the eyes of many fans, and even though I think that kind of mindset is ridiculous, it didn't stop that narrative from being pushed heavily. A lot of people were salty about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander winning MVP this year over Jokic, so if the Nuggets pulled off the upset, then they would have been calling SGA a fake MVP all summer long, but when it mattered most, Shai came through and led his team to the conference finals. In Game 5, when the series was tied at 2 games apiece, in the final few minutes of that game, Shai hit back-to-back shots to put the game out of reach in what was assuredly a nice MVP moment. The Thunder are now definitely the best team left on paper in the playoffs, and we could be about to see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander solidify himself as one of the truly elites in the game's history after the year that he had start to finish. And finally, the last unfortunate loser from the second round that we will be discussing today is Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. Jokic lands in the losers column for a lot of the same reasons I just mentioned for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander being in the winners column. Jokic's series was pretty chaotic as he had 2 games scoring over 40 points, and then in games 2, 3, and 4, he was pretty awful, shooting a horrific 33% from the field and 18% from 3 in that stretch, shooting the team out of games 2 and 4, and luckily getting picked up by Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., and Aaron Gordon in Game 3, with them all scoring 20 points or more in that game. Jokic had a great year, but the constant discrediting of everything around him to excuse some of his shortcomings needs to end by the media and fans, because his teammates played a great series and they got eliminated by the Thunder, who were led by the rightful winner of the MVP award. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below who you thought the biggest winners and losers were this round. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.